Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. I want my channel to be useful for people, and I want to give good information, good skills, and good tips and tricks to help you guys out if SHTF happens. And one of the things that I haven't really heard any other prepping channel talk about is what I'm going to go over here with you guys. And it's kind of a two-part deal. The first thing is I talk to the sales rep for these things this week, and I was flat out told that prices are going up on this entire category. And what I'm talking about is what's called fasteners. And fasteners are nuts, bolts, washers, screws, nails, and then a whole bunch of other things that are small metal parts like this. Quick links for chains, little pulleys, screw eyes, screw hooks, S hooks, chain, and drywall screws, nails, 16 penny nails, roofing nails, up to nails that go in air nailers and that kind of stuff. That whole thing is the fastener category. And another thing that I don't know if most people know, there's a lot of there's certain companies that also make key blanks. So blanks for locks that, you get a key cut or whatever, that's all kind of produced in the same, the same places usually. And prices are definitely going up. I couldn't get a specific time frame out of this particular rep other than this year. But then this gets back to what the old men used to do. They would scavenge and they would save nuts, bolts, screws, and they would throw them in, big containers or jars or whatever. You ever go to like an old auction sale or whatever, you'll see boxes with old mason jars or coffee tins in it. They're just full of nuts and bolts. And sometimes, they organized them a little bit. I seen things made out of baby food jars where they screwed up, where they'd have them in their garage or whatever. But most of them were just thrown in these containers. But then you get into what's what. How do you know what thread size they are for what, thing that you're fixing? And a bolt like this, is basically worthless to most people unless you're working on something and you lost this bolt or you need to replace this with something. Then this becomes very, very valuable. Now you're talking about, barter in an SHTF situation. But how do you tell what these guys are? Well, there's a kind of an inexpensive thing that you can get, and basically it's a nut and bolt checker. I don't know what the official name is, but most hardware stores have one of these or several to check different sizes of nuts and bolts. And so somebody comes in and they have a nut or a bolt, they can try it on this and they can find out exactly what thread that is so they can replace that. So now you can see where I'm going with this. You can scavenge nuts and bolts, and on a rainy day or whatever, you can go through, you can check these, kind of sort them out a little bit. Now, if you got to repair something, you got a homestead or you got a little farmstead or whatever, and you got to work on an old tractor, old piece of equipment or whatever, now you've got, another resource with stuff that you basically scavenge, like these nuts and bolts. And how you use these is these all have sizes on them. This one has both metric and standard on it. Most of them do anymore. That's one thing, when you're, overseas, most everything is metric. But here in North America, you could have standard or you could have metric. So you have kind of both of them. And the holes are threaded. And the threaded holes are to check the nuts, or the bolts, and then the studs are to check the nuts. So, like this guy here, you just kind of put them in the holes until you get one that lines up, and then you can thread it in. Now you can see there, that is a metric. That's an M8 by 125, and that, that tells you what the thread is on this. And like I said, in North America here, you could have either metric or standard. And there's different types of fasteners as well. And this one here, I wanted to show this one specifically because it's kind of an amber color. And what this is this is a grade 8 bolt. And a grade 8 bolt is a lot harder than other bolts, and it has, you know, kind of specific applications. So if you take a grade 8 bolt out of something, you have to replace it with a grade 8 bolt because the other ones are too soft. They're not going to hold up. And then there's grade 5, and there's other ones that go along. But this grade 8 here, I'm going to check again, same thing. And this one kind of threads in a little bit, but not all the way, because this says fine. I don't know if you can see that there, but that says fine. It doesn't thread in. Then we go up to coarse, and it does thread in. So there's also, even though you might have the right size, there could be coarse or fine threads on it. And this one is a 1/4 inch by 20 coarse thread, and that's what that is. Kind of just leave that one in there so you guys can see what that looks like. And then it's basically the same thing with the nuts. And this nut here, we're going to try it out on a 5/16. Same thing, 5/16 coarse. That goes on there fairly easy. So that's what size that is. Show you here. Here's one more. This one's a little bit bigger. This one is a 3/8. Put it on the 3/8. And then, of course, that goes right on there. And then that's a 3/8 by 16, if I'm reading that right, upside down here. And then, of course, you got a inches measuring scale on that one side, and then you have the metric measuring scale on this side. And then this one here actually has different diameters for pieces of like steel or aluminum rod as well. It'll give you the, you know, it'll give you the size on that. Well, these guys here, you know, don't cost that much. I think I paid, just recently here, I paid like $17 for this, you know, and this can go in with my nuts and bolts and some of my other prepping stuff that I have here. Well, now I can identify, you know, nuts and bolts. And again, you know, getting into skills, knowing how to fix things, knowing how to, you know, cobble things together to make things work. That's a viable skill after SHTF, and being able to fix stuff, you know, can provide income and, you know, another barterable skill that can help people out. But I've never heard anybody talk about, you know, fasteners and how to check them and how to look, you know, what sizes threads and what sizes bolts and nuts and stuff are. And combining that with the information from that sales rep this week that prices are going up on that stuff, you know, it might be wise to, you know, if you're throwing something out and there's a few nuts and bolts and screws that are easy to take off of something that you're discarding or getting rid of, it might be a good idea to start, you know, being like the old men and the old timers and scavenge those things, take them out, throw them all in a coffee can or in some old jars or whatever, and then on a rainy day go through and sort some of that stuff out. Might be worth something in the future. Like I said, these things aren't going to get cheaper as time goes on, and a lot of times people just discard stuff anymore. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys here. This is a Modern Refugee. Appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys always get something useful out of my videos, and just something to think about again, as always. But really appreciate you guys watching my videos out there. Hope I'm always a value to the prepping community. Appreciate each and every one of you guys out there. Hope you guys have a great weekend. You guys take care.